Turning now to wrap up your top stories of the day.
Good Wednesday morning. Police say they've made an arrest in connection with that mass shooting in the Mountain View community. This person, 20-year-old Garen Nathaniel Killian of Lenore, is now behind bars. He's facing one charge of attempted murder. Authorities arrested him saying he was involved in that mass shooting. They also say the investigation is ongoing. Killian today has his first appearance in court.
This morning, WCNC Charlotte obtained more than 100 pages of documents into the ongoing Shanquella Robinson case. Robinson died while vacationing with the group in Mexico. Her mother has an active lawsuit against the people Shanquella vacationed with and several agencies. However, no arrest has been made. Now, while those documents are heavily redacted, they do shed some light on the investigation, and you can see those pages right now on the WCNC Charlotte mobile app.
And this is still the biggest thing that we're keeping an eye on this morning. It's this accident out towards Gastonia. It's right by I-85 here, but it's actually on Highway 321. All of that red indicating stop and go traffic, really impacting northbound lanes. That's where one lane is currently closed, but even those southbound lanes, you will have slow moving conditions. So allow for a few extra minutes if you're taking Highway 321.
We have some isolated shower potential later in the day, but really the clouds increase. Temperatures in the lower 80s today. Much cooler tomorrow because of that cloud cover. Breaking up the clouds by the end of the day, but a good chance for scattered rain through the morning and the afternoon as the tropical disturbance rolls in. Then we have a chance for just general thunderstorms as we zoom up to about 90 degrees Friday and Saturday and again on Monday.
How do we get there?
Zoom in.
Wow.
Zoom in.
It's amazing how much difference the humidity makes.
Oh,
These few days have been perfectly pleasant and nice. You add a little humidity.
You can already feel it this morning.
Yeah,
you really can.
Welcome, everybody.
That's right. A reminder, the news doesn't end here. We're live all day long with breaking news, weather, and traffic.
That's on WCNC Plus. We're streaming there now. Join us.
You are streaming live at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
I'm Lisa Washington. Let's get a check of our forecast for this Wednesday now with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy.
Well, good morning, everybody, and we're feeling it already. So Ben and Lisa both said you can feel that mugginess in the air to start off the day. So welcome. The last couple of days have been really pleasant and comfortable. Now we've really flipped the switch over to that June and summertime humidity, and it does not look like it's going to wane anytime soon. So here's what it looks like across 4 different beautiful spots here in our area. We have still some thicker clouds over Lake Norman, a little bit more blue sky over here in Anson County. Head in the clouds, looking at some of those low-level clouds over here in Dallas. And then Monroe, half the sky sunny, half the sky cloudy. But Monroe is really showing what's coming. And this is that deck of clouds that's coming from the northern tier of that tropical disturbance. That's going to cloud things up for the rest of today. So highs still reaching the lower 80s today, 81 right around Hickory, 75 in Boone. But you can see going forward, temperatures getting into the lower 80s, actually feeling a little bit warmer. So 82 could feel like 84. And then that overcast to mostly sunny sky, or mostly cloudy skies, what we have heading into the afternoon, and I think it will be completely overcast, completely gray by the end of the day. I don't expect a lot of sunshine at that point. That's all associated with this guy. This has a very, very low chance of turning into a subtropical storm or even a subtropical depression. But it is going to try. If it stays out in open waters, it's going to be a-okay to try to do that. However, it does look like it moves more due north and then starts to bend and twist off towards the north and east. So maybe when it moves back out in the Atlantic, we could be talking about something, but not here in the Carolinas. This is just going to bring us more clouds. We're already seeing it today, and then certainly more rain. And the further east that you go, that's where we're anticipating some much higher rain totals. Check this out. Seeing up to about 2 inches around Rockingham, could be a big drop off as far as totals go, from quarter to a half inch around Wadesboro, up to an inch around Albemarle, and then it's really all over the place for seeing a trace to up to a 1/10 of an inch of rain scattered across the Charlotte area. And our models aren't really agreeing either. Some are saying way more, but in general, they're saying less than 2/10 of an inch around the Charlotte area. And I really think that this is one of those systems that you have scattered rain in the morning, scattered rain again in the afternoon around Charlotte before it eventually will start to exit off towards the east. So here's what that looks like. Starting around 3 a.m., it's overcast. We have scattered rain. And then once you get closer to the morning commute, I think the heavier rain is still going to be further off towards the east, but it starts to really gather enough strength to get some of those heavier showers closer to about the 8 o'clock hour for our eastern zone. So really pouring in Greensboro. Then we start to see it bend and twist around. We could just see some redevelopment of some heavier showers heading into the early afternoon. By about 3 o'clock, I think most of the rain is done around Charlotte. Still seeing some leftovers from Albemarle to Wadesboro by about 7 o'clock, and then through the evening we're saying goodbye to this passing system. But double downing about those dew points and the moisture in the air, it's not going to the range that we wanted to be. We've been rocking that comfortable range over the last couple of days. Well, now we're closer to 70. And 70 is that air you can wear, so it actually will feel a lot more humid than we're feeling right now and the way we're going to feel over the next couple of days. Our rainfall chances following this event drop off slightly on Friday, but then they become scattered again on Saturday. And I want to focus in on that time frame. For this coming weekend, Saturday right now is trending to be super humid and also the hottest day, 90 degrees. If you mix all those together and drive a front into that, that's going to up our severe weather potential and just thunderstorm potential in general. And we actually do have a day 4 outlook. These usually only go 3 days, but sometimes when it looks like, hey, this is an unusual setup that does start to look like it could be a severe weather chance, that is going to be a day 4 or day 5 outlook. So this is day 4. We'll have a little bit more clarity by tomorrow, but it's showing half of our area could have a strong thunderstorm to end the day. So I just kind of want to put that in the back of your head that you might need to stay weather aware to close out your Saturday. Here's the setup. You're seeing that front that starts to move in from the north. As that settles across the area, that gives us our best chance even through the overnight. And then it'll start to lift its way back off towards the north. But it'll keep some clouds around and still keeping a daily thunderstorm chance for your Sunday heading into Monday. And eventually this cold front will move in and that's going to cool us down. That's why if you look at our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, it's much cooler on Tuesday, back to around 80 degrees. So temperatures all over the place. Thursday will be the coolest because of that tropical disturbance. And then we waste no time getting back to around that 90-degree point for your Friday and your Saturday. Majestic, it's certainly feeling a whole lot more summer-like, just in time for June, right?
Exactly. I think that's just what we got to get ready for it. It's just about to be warm and humid. All right, let's get to it. A few things I want to let you know about as you're getting ready to head out the door for your Wednesday morning commute. I want to start with this. We've been following this accident for over an hour, about 2 hours now. You can see it's out towards Gastonia. We do have a lot of red here indicating those major backups. It's right towards I-85, but the accident is actually on Highway 321. What we know is that a car drove off the road and into Long Creek. One northbound lane, again, just north of I-85, is closed, but we're seeing impacts southbound as well. So if you have to take Highway 321 to get on I-85, I say allow for at least 5 to 10 additional minutes so that you get to where you need to be on time. Also, a new accident now just popping up. Here is a picture of that ongoing situation. This is a crash on Highway 521, Lancaster Highway at Copper Mountain Boulevard. Also seeing those slow moving impacts there because of that accident. We'll have more on those traffic updates coming up in just a few, but those are the most important ones for now.
7:06 now. We start with updates this morning out of Catawba County. The sheriff's office now confirming an arrest has been made in that mass shooting over the weekend that left one person dead. This morning, that suspect is set to face a judge. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live with the latest developments, and Richard reports this isn't the suspect's first time facing charges.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Lisa. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning to all our plusers. The suspect is actually going to be in court today for a first appearance on an attempted murder charge, something that he did just 2 months ago in another case where he was accused of opening fire on some people. Now, let's take a look at the person we're talking about. This is a picture of him. This man, 20-year-old Garen Nathaniel Killian of Lenore. Once again behind bars, he faces one charge of attempted murder. Authorities arrested him in connection with that mass shooting that occurred early Sunday morning at a house party in the Mountain View community on Walnut Acres Drive. Police say there were about 100 people at that pool party. The sheriff's office says Killian is accused of shooting into the crowd of people from outside of the party. That started a barrage of gunfire back and forth when one of those at the pool party also fired back, resulting in the death of Sean Patrick Hood. That's the person who police are saying possibly organized or promoted that party, the 58-year-old. There were 11 others who were injured. The victims range from ages from 16 to 58. Some had gunshot wounds. Others were injured while trying to flee the scene. Authorities reported that they found over 80-some shell casings at the location. Now, again, that one person is behind bars. The investigation continues. Police also spoke about the possibility of why they were at the house 1 hour before this incident happened, but they left. They explained that and also what Killian's accused of. Take a listen.
It appears to us that the shooting initiated from that elevated position in the neighbor's yard, and that persons that were attending the pool party were also armed, and there were shots fired by those people as well.
And the Major Turk also talked about the fact that they're investigating the fact that there may have been alcohol at that location, people underage drinking. The ALE is also getting involved in that and checking to make sure that there was no underage drinking. That's another investigation that goes on. As police say, there may be more arrests to come. Guys?
So, Richard, we know that there may be more arrests to come. We know this investigation continues. But I'm curious, do you know why this suspect isn't charged with more than just one count of attempted murder?
Yeah, a lot of times, don't want to get too far in the weeds. We'll just say that basically police can trace information either of the gun, the shell casing that might have been fired at somebody. They might have surveillance video that shows that he actually pointed at a particular person or in that direction. Now, that's just to make sure that he's arrested and kept behind bars. Eventually, charges can be upgraded. They can accuse him of 100 counts if they will, but a lot of time in the legal system, they'll choose one that they have strongest evidence on to make sure they can make their case. They can also upgrade his charges to murder. We'll talk about that after what happens in court today. We'll let you know.
Richard Devane's been on top of this story all week. All right, Richard, thanks so much for that report.
7:09 right now, and new this morning right here on WCNC Plus. Mecklenburg County leaders responding after somebody released bugs into the meeting room last night at last night's county commission meeting, causing them to get escorted out shortly after. Take a look.
In violation of NCGS 143-318.17 by disrupting the meeting, you're subject to being escorted out of the meeting chamber and charged with a misdemeanor if you don't cease talking. So I think if there are items being passed around with bugs or whatever we got going on, I'd like the officers to please check that out, please. All right, we're gonna wait until we can get order, maintain order. It's a shame that we do this in front of the young lady like that.
All right, some sort of protesters there. They say the county condemns any inappropriate or disruptive behavior during these meetings and that abuse of public participation will not be tolerated. This morning, CMPD investigating after a deadly crash overnight in South Charlotte. Police say a pedestrian was hit near the exit 485 and South Boulevard. CMPD is still investigating what led up to that crash. And take a look at this. Fire crews investigating this morning after a propane tank explosion in Lenoir. The fire chief tells us the tanks exploded behind a food truck and building on Norwood Street. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. The building suffered some damage. At this time, it's unclear what caused the explosion.
Right now, WCNC Charlotte has access to more than 100 pages of documents in the ongoing Shanquella Robinson case. Robinson died while vacationing with a group in Mexico. There have been some questions about who owned that property where she died, the security camera footage, the 911 audio, and the medical examiner records. Her mother has an active lawsuit against those Shanquella vacationed with and several agencies. However, no arrest has been made. Now, while those documents are heavily redacted, they still shed some light on this investigation. And you can see those new pages now on the WCNC Charlotte mobile app.
This morning, this grieving mother still searching for peace. Back in March, her 6-year-old daughter was kidnapped, shot, and killed by her father in Anson County. And now, for the very first time, that mother is sharing that pain with WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard. And it's a story you'll only see right here on WCNC Charlotte.
March the 24th of 2025.
It's a date months behind on the calendar.
It's not fair.
But for Michelle Little, that date has never left. It loops quietly in her mind like a broken record. Michelle recaps the moments leading up to her daughter's death, a pain she can't escape. She says her and her boyfriend, Michael Rufus, had broken up, but he still lived with her to help co-parent their 6-year-old daughter, Mayanna Roach.
Was on one side of the house. He was on this side of the house. Literally pulled me out of my bed, had me on the floor. He covered my mouth with his hands and told me I better not yell or I better not scream with the gun to my head.
She says he then threatened her, took their daughter, and drove off in her car. As Michelle contacted police, she says she received several texts from Michael, including this picture of their daughter sleeping.
He told me I brought her into this world, I would take her out of this world.
Text messages also show Michelle asking him to bring her daughter home. His response: "For years, I've been telling you I'm gonna off myself, and I'm taking everything with me if you move on." Rufus also often referred to himself in third person, saying, "He tried so hard to love you, he kept all his demons away. Now we are out to play."
As he said, if we can't have you, then no one can. So who is the we? Him and his demons.
Michelle says she only spoke with her daughter on the phone briefly.
I asked her, was she okay? She said yes. She said she was sleeping.
Deputies eventually spotted Michael's vehicle. After a high-speed chase, it eventually crashed here, near Little Creek Road.
He crashed. We heard my baby scream, and then the phone hung up. I knew then that he did something.
Officials later confirming 2 gunshots, a bullet for his daughter, another one for himself. Police reported Mayanna died at the scene. Rufus was reported dead after being taken to the hospital. Michelle says Mayanna loved taking pictures, loved being with her brothers, and loved hanging with her dad.
She felt safe with him.
But still, he ended it all. Now Michelle breaking her silence and sending a message, not just as a grieving mother, but as a voice for every victim of domestic violence. She says, get out now. It just may cost you something greater than your own life.
Ladies, we gotta We gotta pay attention. We gotta watch who we have kids with. Woman's intuition, pay attention to it. Don't never avoid it.
Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, last night, members of the Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners took a moment to recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Month, addressing the rise in violent incidents not only here in Charlotte, but across the country. District 2 Representative Vilma Leak says this violence needs to stop.
Every day you open the paper or you listen to the news, you may not want to hear it, but I'm going to say it. It's violence in this community, and we're killing each other, and the bloodline is being cut off. You may not want to hear it, but I'm going to say it. Stop killing each other.
People encouraged to wear orange this month to honor victims and survivors of gun violence.
This morning, the FDA has upgraded a recent recall alert on tomatoes in North and South Carolina. It is now a Class 1. That means there is a concern for serious health consequences or even death. That recall was first issued in early May for tomatoes at risk of salmonella contamination, supplied by H&C Farms and distributed by Williams Farms Repack. Those tomatoes were sold to wholesalers in both North and South Carolina and in Georgia. If you bought any tomatoes in bulk, officials urge you to check where they came from and to throw them out or return them if they're not open. So far, the agency hasn't received any reports of illnesses. We're also following a new bill out of Raleigh this morning, which would place tougher restrictions on tow truck companies, including how much they are able to charge you. House Bill 199 would create a new government group to issue permits to tow truck businesses, as well as revoke them for predatory behavior. Some companies, including some in our area, have faced accusations of overcharging or charging unfair fees.
All right, plain and simple, it's going to be a more humid environment. You can already feel that humid air and that stickiness this morning, and then we keep that around for the afternoon. This afternoon, technically just in the sticky range, and we're humid, muggy, humid. Words that I'll be using for the next several months. And you can see for our dew points, anytime over 65, yeah, that's going to be that humid air, and then close to 70, that's that muggy air you can wear and the hair you can't wear, so you can expect that for the next 7 days or so. Alas, here it is. It is June. You anticipate this, and actually should have been a lot more humid during the month of May, but we kind of escaped that. Well, now things are changing, especially when you have tropical disturbances and systems start to bounce into the area. Here's that area of red that's representing tropical air that moves in for tomorrow. And then we start to dry out. Still, anything in the yellow is pretty wet and pretty humid. We have a little bit of a downtrend for your Monday, seeing some slightly drier air before more of that yellow returns heading into next week. And we're right on the cusp. Maybe some drier air will visit us. Now, likely we're going to be borrowing some of that moisture from the Gulf as well. Here's a look at our tropical development. Still only a 10% chance. If this were to stay offshore, right off of Charleston, Wilmington, and not actually move into the Carolinas, I think this might have a chance at making a tropical depression status. But there's a lot of things working against this, and I'll have a little bit more detail on that over the next half hour here at WCNC Plus. But all you have to know right now is that it's moving to the north, and it will bring us a cloudier day today and then rain by tomorrow. So here's what it looks like. This system still not even really organized. It's not even technically a low at this point. We're seeing signs of clouds, so I'm thinking you will see some sunshine through this morning, but then pretty quickly that cloud cover will take over, and by the end of the afternoon we're talking about an overcast sky, like an uninspiring overcast sky heading into the evening. As far as your rain chances, not a lot happens today. Slight chance of maybe you have a sprinkle or two, but then a better chance for a few scattered lighter showers through the overnight. And then here comes the rain. The further east that you go of I-77, that's a better chance for rain. And I'm going to get out of the way. Notice those yellows and reds that start to flourish around Rockingham. I think it's Rockingham and areas further off towards the east that will have a much better chance for the heavier rain. That's kind of right in that center of the rain that I was showing you off the Florida coast. It's just east of us. Now, Charlotte is still going to have a chance for scattered showers to bend in around this, especially through the morning heading into the early afternoon. And then by the late afternoon, it should be getting out of here. Some drier air might even allow for some sunshine, especially west of I-77 to end your Thursday. And then we start to continue business as usual for a warm up close to 90 degrees. Here are your futurecast rain totals showing up to an inch from Albemarle over to Rockingham, but those rain totals really drop off the further west that you go. There could be some outliers that pick up to maybe a ½ inch to 3/4 inch closer to Charlotte. Just depends on where some of those heavier cells are going to develop. Our rainfall chances after that, we will have a chance for an isolated shower or storm on Friday, but Saturday is kind of standing out to me. Saturday looks like there's a better chance for a hot, humid environment with an approaching front that could give us some strong storms to end the day, or at least heading into the evening. So I want you all to keep that in mind. I think really earlier on your Saturday is going to be the better time frame to avoid that storm activity. For your Sunday, isolated showers and thunderstorms. Same thing goes for your Monday, and then after that, a front will cool us back down to about 80 degrees. But this right here is a classic June setup. We have some valleys where we drop to the 70s, mainly rocking the 80s, close to 90 degrees, with pretty much each and every day a chance for a shower or thunderstorm. So welcome to June, everyone, and welcome to your morning commute with Majestic.
All right, good morning, everyone. Let's start with this. A quick peek at those drive times. If you are coming into Charlotte from Waxhaw, it's going to take you 50 minutes to get you here, so you might want to pack some snacks. About 45 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia. Live look outside, I-77 definitely picking up as people are waking up, starting their day. I do actually want to take you out to Gastonia because this is where we have been following an ongoing accident. It's right by I-85. You can see all the red here. Northbounds are being majorly impacted, and this is what we know. The accident actually happened on Highway 321. A car drove off the road and into Long Creek. One northbound lane heading north again is closed at this time, but notice even those southbound lanes will also have some impacts there. In addition to that, another ongoing accident. Here's a picture of what's happening. It's on Highway 521, Lancaster Highway at Copper Mountain Boulevard. You can see the car right there that's slowing down traffic. You can still get around it, but again, it's going to cause some delays this morning. This one, we're still learning more about what's exactly going on, but we know West Moorhead Street is totally blocked off because of a reported sinkhole. That's between Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard. We'll let you know if we learn more about this. Plus, I'll continue to keep a close eye on what's going on over there in Gastonia. Ben.
A kiosk that you may have seen inside a grocery store now making stealing phones too easy and very profitable.
Take a look at this. They're called Eco ATMs. You simply drop a phone inside and get hundreds of dollars back. It's proving to be tempting for criminals. NBC's Ellison Barber got a closer look after her own phone was stolen.
That is the NYPD with me, trying to get my stolen phone out of an Eco ATM automated kiosk.
I'll help you price and sell your device.
The company says it has more than 6,500 of these machines across the country where people can sell and recycle old devices for cash, possibly earning hundreds of dollars on the spot.
The condition of your device will affect the price.
But let's rewind. For me, this ordeal started on the subway on May 7th.
Personal phone was sitting, I guess, kind of where somebody could easily grab it, and somebody did.
Using my work phone, I texted my partner to find my phone and lock it. I could see it went from a subway stop near the office to 29th Street, and it seemed like it wasn't moving. So the next day, we followed it and wound up at a check cashing store.
My iPhone paints to this machine, where I guess they sold it for cash and somehow didn't have to prove they actually owned the phone they were selling because it was accepted and it's been in here since yesterday.
The kiosks are supposed to offer a home for unwanted cell phones, but in my case, it was a stolen phone and one I very much wanted back.
So now we had to call the police to have an NYPD officer out working right now come here so I can file a stolen phone report with them.
The company says to get money for a phone, the seller has to appear on camera, scan their state-issued ID, and submit a fingerprint, which in the event of a theft is information that's shared with police. And Eco ATM says 99.8% of sales are from a phone's rightful owner.
You should be able to open that, and then the phone should be installed.
But in the case of a stolen phone like mine, the company has to give police access to the machine, which thankfully for me, since my phone was still in there, led to a sweet reunion.
That was Ellison Barber reporting for you there. While she was speaking, I actually looked it up. There are about 20 of these kiosks here just in Charlotte proper. And the piece makes the point that in most cases, these are perfectly legit exchanges, but
until it's that 0.2%, it's your phone, right?
Then it's not fun.
For sure.
All right, 724 right here on WCNC Plus. Turning now to technology being used for good. How about that? A new company moving forward with creating silent planes that don't need gas to stay in the air. Beta just completed its first flight to JFK Airport in New York with passengers on board. Wow, pretty cool looking. It says no jet fuel means the plane is less flammable, and no noise means better audio communication for the pilot. As far as safety, the FAA has created new requirements for pilots that can be certified to operate these electric planes. Officials predict hopping on one of these planes will one day be a common form of transportation.
Will be as ubiquitous as taxi cabs. This will turn into an air taxi service, which will be critical.
It could be a game changer. Flyers could see these electric planes as early as 2027. That's just 2 years away, folks.
Wow.
The price tag to fly will likely be high. I guess you're paying for convenience, but it's like anything. Get them enough out there and the prices will slowly start to come down. It'll become more common. So
I would appreciate it being quieter because sometimes those airplanes are loud.
Yeah, I just got to get over the mental hurdle of that one.
I don't trust it. I'm just saying.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Keep it right here in WCNC Plus. We're going to have another check of your weather and traffic, and then today's top headlines coming back at 7:30.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are looking at increasing cloud cover for today, so you might see some sunshine for the time being. High temperatures in the lower 80s, then scattered rain overnight tonight, only fall into the mid to the upper 60s. Some of us just touching that 70-degree point. Tomorrow, rain is likely scattered throughout the day before, boom, look at that, we're back to 89 degrees. Here's a look at what is going down throughout today. I think the cloud cover gets a lot thicker by the end of the afternoon, so you will still have some bright spots, mostly sunny skies, a little bit of blue sky for the morning especially, and then it's just really unmotivational to end the day. Scatter rain really after midnight especially. The further east you go, that's where we're anticipating some of the heavier showers should be out of there by the end of your Thursday. After that, right around 90 degrees, chance for an isolated pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Saturday, even a chance for a strong thunderstorm, and then really June-like majestic overall, which is where we should be.
All right, sounds good to me. 7:27 now. I want to give you some updates on those area roadways as traffic is definitely starting to pick up there. I-77, you can see it moving a little slow. Want to take you out towards Gastonia. This has been the big talker this morning. There's an ongoing accident. It's on Highway 321. A car drove off the road and into Long Creek. One northbound lane is closed at this time, so do allow for extra drive time if you typically take Highway 321 north.
You are streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30 on this Wednesday morning. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. We'll get to all the latest news coming up in just a moment. But first, let's get a check of your WCNC weather impact forecast and the humidity that's now taking hold.
Yeah, no, it's not great, and it's all because of this system right here. You see widespread rain now down towards the south. Check this out. This is right around Jacksonville over to Daytona Beach, so that's going to be those flourishing dew points as we continue over the next few days. So sticky air, yep, we got it today, and then it turns humid over the coming days as well. So here's what that looks like. So for instance, our dew points starting off this morning right in the mid-60s. That's that air you can wear and definitely feel it as you're going to be out there. It does come down a little bit through the afternoon, but then it's even higher heading into tomorrow as our next wet weather system is going to be rolling a little bit close to us. So just really keep that in mind over the coming days. This is what we're really keeping an eye on, though, this tropical development right in this yellow zone. That's going to be that 10% chance. And likely this isn't going to become a tropical depression nor tropical storm Andrea, but it is close enough that we have to watch it closely. So here's what's going to happen. Likely this is just going to be a typical low and some fronts that starts to push its way further off towards the north. Then it bends and twists and eventually pushes its way further off towards the northeast. Here's how much rain that we could see with this system. There's only one thing that's going to change, and that would be either this pushes a little bit further off towards the west and we see more rain in Charlotte, or I think it stays the same. I don't think there's going to be too much of a change outside of that. Things are really preventing it from pushing a little bit further east than what it's already projected at this point. But regardless, general rule of thumb, the further east you live, I-77, so looking at you, Albemarle and Rockingham, the best chance you're going to have for heavier rain and for a longer period of rain. Heavier rain totals really are a factor of two things. That's going to be intensity and duration. So you're going to see rain the longest, and you're also going to be seeing some of the heavier rain showers. Meanwhile, in Charlotte, some models, talking about the North American model, kind of out to lunch compared to the rest of them, showing that we could have, hey, up to an inch of rain. In general, I think we have it traced to about 0.2 of an inch when all is said and done. And that's across the greater Charlotte area, and that would include Gastonia, right around Concord as well. Concord, even though you will have a slightly higher chance for rain. This is also the more aggressive futurecast that I'm showing you. I always like to show you kind of the worst case scenario. It's still pretty similar to everything else we're seeing. This one just keeps a little bit more scattered rain through the morning, and then eventually heading into the afternoon. Still think we have some active rain, but there might be a chance for some redevelopment of some heavier cells by the early to mid-afternoon. By about 3 to 5 o'clock, I think we're clearing things out completely across the 485 loop. That means heading into the evening, we'll even see a little bit of sunshine. Our dew points, this isn't great. You don't like seeing this back up to 70. That's a really muggy air, and that's also going to lead to some storm fuel heading into the weekend. So our rainfall chances, check this out. We see them really start to jump again on Thursday. That one's for the obvious. I already showed you that. But it's Saturday and Tuesday. All three of these have something in common. All three either have a low pressure system or a front that drives into the heat and humidity of the day. That's always the big thing, something to drive up all that heat and humidity. Sometimes on its own, oftentimes when you have isolated showers and storms, it's just hot and humid enough. Those cumulus clouds get a little bit taller, they break, and then they can turn into a thunderstorm. But Saturday specifically has the best chance for a severe weather setup. We're not going weather alert at this point because there's still way too many factors that could just completely strip away any chance for a thunderstorm in general. But here's what that in general looks like. Our severe weather risk is now at a low, and this is day 4. Typically, they only go out to about day 3. So there's a very low 15% chance that you will have a stronger thunderstorm, especially from Gastonia down towards the south. I think this is more of a end of the day heading into the evening event on Saturday, and then just kind of business as usual for your Sunday. Here's what it looks like. You have that front to the north. It slowly starts to drift its way down towards the south. This is 2 p.m. on Saturday. I think we're still dry up to this point. So if you have any plans on Saturday, I know this is pretty far out and still a lot can change. We're still getting past that tropical disturbance and what it's going to do in the near term. But I think you're dry for the first part of the day. But then once this gets a little bit closer, that's where things become a lot more widespread. By Sunday, this is still around, still could trigger a shower or storm, but we have a little bit drier air as we head into the warm sector of this. This is going to ramp temperatures back up before we see another round of rain along that front that you can see in the northwest. Our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, plain and simple, this is June, people. You will always have that shot at 90 degrees during the month of June. You'll have a fluctuation between the 80s, and there will be some days that are a little bit cooler because of the cloud cover and the rainfall chances. That's why Thursday stands out from all the rest as far as our high temperatures go, because I think we're overcast most of the day because of that system rolling in. And the only reason why you see a little bit of sunshine here is I think by the back end we will be clearing things out. So welcome to another week of June. We officially have turned on the humidity. I have no clear picture when we're going to be turning it off. I think it'll become a rarity, certainly over the next few months, as we know, Majestic.
Yeah, I don't think anytime soon. I think we just got to buckle up and get ready for it. Speaking of buckle up, let's take a look at those area roadways. People are waking up, heading out the door, getting ready to start their Wednesday. I-77, you can see all the cars out there. Lots going on this morning. Let's take you out to Gastonia first. Still following this ongoing accident. We've been following this now for over 2 hours. You can see all of this red here. It's Highway 321. Notice, though, it's really close to I-85. As we zoom it on in, it's right towards Hartman Road. And what we know is that there was a car that drove off the road and into Long Creek. If you're heading northbound, lanes are still moving. They're just moving very slowly, just down to one lane that is actually closed, and then southbound lanes still seeing some impacts there as well. Want to take you a little closer to Uptown because we're still learning more about what exactly is going on here. We know on West Moorhead Street between Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard, there has been reports of a sinkhole, so the whole street is shut down at this point. So again, learning more about that once we do, we'll be sure to let you know. Not even sure when that is going to reopen. Another ongoing incident that you'll want to know about if you typically take Highway 521, Lancaster Highway there, especially northbound. There's a crash there. A picture of what's going on is at Copper Mountain Boulevard. So lots currently happening out on those area roadways. We'll keep you up to date as we continue to learn more about the sinkhole and that ongoing accident in Gastonia. Ben.
Majestic, thanks. We're following new information this morning in the Shanquella Robinson case after WCNC Charlotte obtained more than 100 pages of documents from the FBI. Those documents are heavily redacted, but they do shed some light into the ongoing investigation.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards has been combing through those pages overnight. She joins us in the studio this morning to break down what we've learned so far. Destiny.
That's right. In these documents, we're getting a clearer picture of what investigators were asking for and what steps they took very early on after her death. Robinson was just 25 when she died in Cabo San Lucas in October 2022. Her friends, now known as the Cabo Six, told her family it was alcohol poisoning, but a Mexican autopsy pointed to spinal and neck trauma. Newly released documents show the FBI contacted a Mexican prosecutor in early 2023 with about 11 questions. These questions included who owned the villa and whether there was surveillance video, 911 audio, or medical records they could share. That email was sent around the time Mexican officials announced they were searching for a suspect. The documents confirm an arrest warrant was issued, but the name wasn't revealed. The FBI also interviewed someone shortly after her death who said the group told Mexican authorities they had been drinking heavily and put Robinson in the shower to sober her up. One friend was reportedly so distraught they couldn't eat or sleep. Agents also searched a phone from the trip, but there was no evidence, they say, related to her death. Now, as for where the case stands now, 4 of the 6 friends filed motions to dismiss it, saying the case belongs in Mexico. Robinson's mother is also suing the Cabo Six, the FBI, and the State Department, seeking $100 million in damages. There are still no charges in the U.S., but this release shows the investigation is far from closed. As we continue to track any updates, you can find all the latest information on the WCNC Charlotte News app.
All right, Destiny, thank you for that report. This morning, we are learning that the no confidence vote against Charlotte Police Chief Johnny Jennings has failed. The Fraternal Order of Police says after 9 days, it did not receive enough votes to issue an outcome. Now, it is important to note, even if that vote did succeed, the outcome would have been largely symbolic. The vote was called after reports of a secret settlement between the city and the chief tied to that dispute involving former council member Tark Bakari. Chief Jennings later revealed the details of the $305,000 deal, calling it a separation agreement and announcing his plans to retire early next year.
Neighbors in Boulder, Colorado, still reeling from that violent attack on a peaceful gathering Sunday. The community came together late yesterday to hold a prayer vigil in the aftermath. The participants met outside the Pearl Street Mall courthouse where the attack took place. 12 people were hurt, ranging in ages from 52 to 88, one of them a Holocaust survivor. It comes as the suspect awaits a hearing later this week on multiple charges of attempted first-degree murder and a federal hate crime. His family has been since detained by ICE agents.
The U.S. Department of Education is putting a pause on those plans to take money from Social Security checks for people who haven't paid back their student loans. According to a spokesperson for the agency, recipients don't need to worry about losing part of their benefits because of defaulted loans. Now, this is a sudden change from the Trump administration's earlier announcement back in April, when it stated that collections on student loans would start as early as this month. All right, take a look at this. Drivers passing under the Hawthorne Bridge in Charlotte yesterday may have seen more people there than usual as a group stood on the bridge to protest the Trump administration. They held signs in support of diversity, free speech, and immigration. But those protesters are not the only ones who are pushing back against the president. This morning, we are learning that Elon Musk is now slamming President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill.
And as senators begin digging into the details, NBC's Chris Pallone is breaking down the different reaction this morning.
As tariffs on aluminum and steel double for most U.S. trade partners overnight, dissent is bubbling up among some of President Trump's allies over his signature spending bill. Billionaire Elon Musk, who spent months trying to slash government spending as a temporary government employee, blasted the president's self-proclaimed big, beautiful bill as a disgusting abomination. Writing on X, Musk complained the president's plan will massively increase the gigantic budget deficit. Some GOP budget hardliners agree.
I can't in good conscience give up every principle that I stand for and every principle that I was elected upon, and that's that we can't accumulate more debt.
Independent analysts project, as written, the bill could add several $1 trillion to the deficit. It extends tax cuts, boosts spending on defense and border security, and includes cuts to Medicaid and food aid programs. The White House is brushing off Musk's criticism.
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
It comes as the president's latest tariffs on steel and aluminum took effect overnight, doubling from 25% to 50%. With China as a top competitor in the industry, the White House says President Trump could speak with President Xi in the coming days.
There will be a leader-to-leader talk very soon.
President Trump escalating his trade war, risking increased costs for Americans to potentially shore up the nation's steel industry. Republican members of the Senate Finance Committee will huddle with the president at the White House later today to figure out how to tweak his spending and tax cut bill so that it can pass both houses of Congress. In Washington, Chris Pallone, NBC News.
The time is now 7:42. It's time for us to connect the dots. That's when we make the news make sense. The summer humidity is here in the Carolinas. It is no joke, and we're going to be feeling some of that this week. In fact, as early as today. Recent reports show that it's probably only going to get worse. Climate change is already reshaping life in North Carolina, and scientists say the impacts will only get worse. Let's connect the dots. A statewide report finds North Carolina is getting hotter, wetter, and more humid. By the end of the century, the state could warm up to 10 degrees if emissions don't slow. That means more dangerously hot nights, higher humidity, and more health risks, especially in cities. Rainfall patterns are also shifting, and there's no clear trend in total rain, but extreme storms are getting worse. Hurricanes are producing heavier rainfall, and coastal flooding is expected to become a daily issue in low-lying areas. Droughts and wildfires are also projected to hit harder in the years ahead, threatening water supplies, crops, and communities. Scientists say no part of the state will be spared, but there is still time to prepare, and that's connecting the dots. Right now, people in Kansas and Missouri are dealing with severe flooding and some heavy rain after it moved through the area. Take a look at this. Now, this is in Kansas, where firefighters had to conduct urgent water rescues as cars were submerged by the flood waters. And as you take a closer look, you can see those rescues come amid tornado warnings in Missouri and ongoing severe weather threats in several states overnight. 2 to 3 inches of rain have already fallen, and additional rainfall amounts of 1.5 to 2.5 inches are still possible. The Wichita Fire Department is now urgently reminding people, turn around, don't drown.
There's more help on the way for people who lost their homes when a tornado swept through St. Louis just a few weeks ago. The mayor announced $5 million in recovery funding and millions more in federal funding has been earmarked in Congress. The city also passed a bill giving 1 month's rent to those whose homes were condemned. But victims say they're not sure that will be enough to help build back all the homes and businesses that were lost. For now, many say they're having to pay out of pocket for those repairs. And this morning, a longtime dentist there in North St. Louis is calling it quits after the EF3 tornado destroyed his practice. However, his family is committed to helping those who helped him keep the doors open for nearly 5 decades. Holden Kerwicki has more.
For the past 47 years, the Abramson Dental Office has been a staple along Natural Bridge in North St. Louis.
He made me dentist and stuff, didn't charge me for them.
It's like his second home.
Over the years, Dr. Abramson became friends with Thomas Caruth, a neighborhood handyman who lives 2 doors away.
You know, I did a lot of work down in the basement. I put up shelves, I did roofing, I did some of everything for him.
He's definitely been such a great person and helped out my grandpa, and I think that he deserves the world because, I mean, not gonna lie, my grandpa's a lot to put up with.
When an EF3 tornado struck St. Louis May 16th, it sent Dr. Abramson into an early retirement.
I'm a miss him.
However, the Abramson family was more worried about Thomas.
My room, bedroom set, this is where me and my wife slept at right here.
In an effort to help the man who has helped them countless times,
He's done so much for my grandpa and for our family, so he deserves the world.
Dr. Abramson's grandkids, Raquel and Leo, started a GoFundMe.
He got really affected by the tornado, and it's like devastating because he doesn't have much family left.
To date, they've raised close to $10,000 for Thomas.
He's given to the community, he should get it back.
That's why Thomas has this message for the entire Abramson family.
And they wonderful, the whole family. I just love them. I love them just like they my brothers and sisters, and he's my father.
Reporting in St. Louis, Holden Kerwicki.
Well, all week, our weather impact team's been tracking our first tropical disturbance of the hurricane season, but is it something that we need to keep an eye on necessarily? Chris joins us once again, raising our weather IQ this morning. Chris.
And what's better to use the now and a current explainer to explain one key in tropical development. So there's multiple different forms. It starts as a tropical wave, there's tropical disturbances, and that's what this is. And then it could upgrade itself from anywhere from a tropical depression, tropical storm, hurricane, post-tropical cyclone. And we learn a lot more about that in depth during our Hurricane IQ special. But let's focus in on this. We only have a 10% chance that this turns over to a tropical depression and or a tropical storm. First off, let's go into what makes one of these systems. First off, you need a pre-existing weather pattern. That's exactly what we have right now. So a tropical wave or a tropical disturbance, that's what's happening right off the coast of Florida. So we have checkbox 1, we'll say, for this system. Water temperatures need to be 80 degrees or warmer, and that's down to a depth of about 150 feet. When they're cooler than that, storms will oftentimes weaken, and that's usually why storms that move up in the coast, up in New England, will start to really get a lot weaker once they get a little bit closer. Also, you need low wind shear. Wind shear is the change of wind speed and direction with height. If it's super strong up above, it can really cut into the development. They're really fickle creatures. They like everything to be just right. And tropical moisture, plume of moisture is needed. Once you get Saharan dust, which we have, that'll often kill a storm, and that's exactly what this one is really fighting against. So Saharan dust, by the way, there's a lot of hype online. This is not unusual. We see this each and every year, especially during June and July. That's why it usually tempers our season a little bit earlier on, but that's going to be pluming into this system, so it is going to be breaking it up. We also have a high wind shear environment at first. A lot of this red where this is trying to form, so that's cutting into the storm. So really, two things are working against it. But there's one other major thing besides cooler temperatures that'll weaken a storm: landfall. There's a good chance that that's going to happen as well. So there would be a chance that this could become subtropical storm Andrea. And subtropical, the big difference here is that for a typical tropical storm, the center of circulation, because for any of these to happen, it has to have a closed low. It has to have a circle on the map. Well, the strongest winds are usually near the center. But during a subtropical event, you usually hear those named earlier in the season. That means the strongest winds are away. So it's not that tight circle right in the middle that everything circulates that way. Sometimes it's a little bit more oblong shaped, and then it can be fueled by other things such as fronts. Well, that would be this case and scenario. So we have some active fronts to push in, but then it makes landfall. So there's so many different things that are working against this being our first tropical depression or tropical storm of the season. There is a scenario, though, once this low moves back out into the Atlantic, the warmer water temperatures, the lesser wind shear could allow this thing to develop into something. I'm just saying in the near term for Carolina's fate, this is not going to be numbered, and this will not be named. So now we know a little bit more about that. Let's move on with the forecast. Here's a little bit closer look at what I think is going to happen. For one, if you live in Albemarle, Wadesboro, Rockingham, let's call this line off towards the east. Of course, we have a lot of great towns in between, but just naming those ones specifically, that's where the heaviest rain is going to be. That's where I think that we have that excess of moisture. There's always going to be a wetter part of a system. That's where it's going to be. So really east of I-77 sees a majority of the rain, but then we start to see scattered showers circulate back into the Charlotte area throughout the morning heading into the afternoon. So I still think we're keeping rain around most of the day. There's just a lot of lulls in between. And then again, the further east you go is where we're seeing some of those heavier totals. And then by the end of the afternoon heading in the evening, I think that we get rid of the rain and we might even see a little bit of sunshine as some of that drier air works in. So this is not a big wet weather event for the Charlotte area. Instead, I think it's just more of kind of a gloomy and cooler day, but some of us will pick up to 2 inches of rain. As far as our futurecast beyond that, we will have another chance for an isolated pop-up shower and thunderstorm chance on Friday. That is being added to the forecast, and we'll do that again on Saturday. As far as how we feel, it's humid, y'all. Today is sticky in the afternoon, and then beyond that, it's humid to muggy. So get used to me saying those words. Something that you expect in June. It's just that now that it's actually here, some of us might be like, meh. So rain is likely for your Thursday, isolated on Friday. I already showed you that on the map. Saturday is a day that we're still watching a little bit closer. 90 degrees, a humid day, and a front colliding into all that heat and humidity will up our thunderstorm chances and even severe weather potential. So if you live around Charlotte and around the I-85 corridor, we do have an elevated risk for a severe storm. I'm not going to go ahead and call it weather alert at this point, just letting you know in the back of your head. Maybe you want to do things earlier on your Saturday because you could have some pretty big thunder boomers that roll into the evening. Timing is still all over the place because we still have to get past this tropical disturbance before you can really focus in on the weekend. Just letting you know what I'm seeing so far. And then we see this widespread front further off towards the north. It starts to work its way a little bit further down to the south. So let's do this one more time. Let's show you the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Up to 90 degrees on Saturday. We still have not seen that 90-degree point. And then really feeling like June going forward. It's hot, it's humid, and occasionally stormy. Lisa?
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Well, we want to show you this. Some breaking news right now on West Charlotte this morning where a sinkhole has shut down parts of West Moorhead Street. This is between Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard. You're taking a live look from our crew on the scene there this morning. You can see the cones and the tape already placed around the impacted area. Now, what we don't know is just how long this road is expected to be closed or the actual extent of that sinkhole. But again, it could be days as the crews work to patch that hole. All right, let's check back in with Majestic now. I know you've been talking about this all morning. Great to finally see what it looks like out there.
Exactly, and it has made some impacts for our morning commute, that's for sure, slowing things down. Let's show you our live traffic maps because really that has been a talker, but we've also been following a few other things that you'll want to know about as you're heading out the door this morning. So as you can see, the traffic map is very busy out there, but we've been following an ongoing accident in Gastonia that has really blocked those northbound lanes for quite some time. There we go. All right, let's go into Gastonia there because the good news here is that has since been cleared. It was a car that drove off the road and into Long Creek. You can still see some backups though. That's out towards Highway 321 right by I-85 though. So it has been cleared, but as you can see, there is still some congestion there. And then as we head over towards the east, this is exactly where the reports of that sinkhole has been all morning long. And like you just saw, our WCNC crews are there on scene looking at what is exactly going on. But West Moorhead Street between Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard, again, closed at this time. So that is not the route that you're going to want to take. You're going to need to go around it. They're suggesting to just take Wilkinson at this time. And then you can see right now an ongoing accident here, a picture of it. It's on Lancaster Highway at Copper Mountain Boulevard, slowing things down, but again, not seeing any blocked roads at this time. And another one just to the north of it on Johnston Road at Providence. You can see that orange indicating just slow moving traffic for your Wednesday morning commute. Lisa.
It's Wednesday morning and time for today's Tiny Town. It just happens to be historic Terrell, North Carolina, which is in Catawba County, total area 3.8 square miles and the population right around 860. Terrell, North Carolina was named after a Methodist minister by the name of Pinckney Terrell back in 1893. Once again, today's Tiny Town, Terrell, North Carolina, just to the west of Mooresville on Highway 150. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
Thanks, Larry. All right, check this out. An Australian woman just set a new world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours.
So you ready for this number? Olivia Vincent completed 7,079 pull-ups in just one day, which means she averaged about 5 pull-ups a minute. The previous record, set by a Polish woman back in 2021, she only did about 4,000 pull-ups. Get this, Vincent trained for more than 3 months before her first attempt. This was not her first. She got about 12 hours in and at the time pulled a bicep tendon. Then forced to take 2 months off, then decided to start training once again. She says she's all about pushing her boundaries and not giving up even if you don't succeed the first time. Pull-ups.
I mean, 5 pull-ups is a lot.
That's what I was going to say. Pull-ups are hard. I mean,
really hard.
I could do 5 and that's about it.
That would be good.
Right?
It's enough of a workout.
All right, let's take a quick break right now as we take a live look right now over a slightly foggy, cloudy uptown Charlotte this morning. It's a sign of things to come. Chris is going to have more in your weather impact forecast coming up right next on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everybody. So here's what we're expecting. For the long term, we're going to see temperatures get back to 90 degrees. For the short term, we're going to be dealing with some clouds on and off throughout the day. Temperatures already back to 70 degrees around Charlotte, 68 degrees around Hickory, and we will see some periods of sunshine earlier on, but those clouds are going to take over. So let's call it a mostly cloudy beginning, turning overcast by the end of the day. High temperatures reaching the lower 80s. So cooler than yesterday, but one thing is for sure noticeable. It is muggy out there, y'all, and get ready for a humid to muggy forecast going forward. Each one of these days in the Guy Roofing 70 forecast, you're going to be feeling that moist air. Tomorrow is much cooler because we have a chance for scattered showers and storms on a cloudy day for most of it, with a little bit of sunshine to end the day. After that, right back to 90 degrees Friday and Saturday. Now we got to get to our morning commute with Majestic Storm.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is busy out there this morning. 7:57 right now if you are getting ready to head out the door. Want to take you straight to the uptown area because we are following a sinkhole. It's on West Moorhead Street between Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard. It has blocked this current road. So right now they're saying to actually just take Wilkinson Road to get around it if you have to drive that way. Otherwise, we are seeing another ongoing accident on Lancaster Highway at Copper Mountain Boulevard that will add an additional 5 minutes to your morning commute.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We continue to follow that breaking news in West Charlotte this morning. Take a look at your screen. A sinkhole has shut down parts of West Moorhead Street between Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard. Again, this is a live look from our crew at the scene there. You can see the cones in place already. And it looks like a second crew has arrived just a few minutes ago, placed around that impacted area. It is still not clear just how long this road is going to be closed. It could be days as the crews work to patch that hole there, the sinkhole.
We do know that's a popular route for a lot of folks on their morning commute when it comes to getting around West Charlotte. Majestic Storm standing by with a closer look at this.
All right, let's get straight to it. They're saying if you typically drive that way, you'll want to take Wilkinson Boulevard. That'll help to get you around that ongoing sinkhole. As you just saw, our crews there are on scene saying exactly what's happening, but we are going to continue to report on this until it's completely opened and you can drive through. But at this time, West Moorhead Street, ongoing sinkhole there. Want to take you over to the west though, because right now, right lane, it is blocked due to a crash on Wilkinson Boulevard westbound at Tuckasegee Road. So we'll continue to see that. We have a lot of red out there. In addition to that ongoing crash, another one here, it's on Lancaster Highway. We have a picture of that. Cars are still able to go around it. They're just moving very slowly out there towards Copper Mountain Boulevard. Another one just to the north of that, not too far from it actually. It's still on Highway 521, Johnston Road and Providence Road. This orange here indicating just slow moving conditions. Quick peek, here we go at drive times. If you're coming in from Waxhaw, it's going to take you right around 1 hour and just under 30 minutes for Matthews. Chris, how's the weather today?
Thanks a lot, Majestic. All in all, not too bad. We are going to get a lot cloudier later on, but we have to mention some of those foggy conditions. This is really going to be the worst of it. Charlotte down to 5 miles, that's not a big deal. It's once you get down below a mile, and that's where we're seeing from Spartanburg up to Shelby. So northbound, southbound along I-85 through here, you're going to have some periods it's really tough to see in front of you. Also, the same thing goes down here in Lancaster around, say, Highway 521. Wouldn't be surprised if you have some low visibilities with a half-mile visibility right around Lancaster. This will start to improve vastly over the next hour or two. And what you're looking at right now is likely the sunniest part of the day. So we can anticipate an increasing cloud cover, but still a bright start to the day before it turns really to a grayer, darker gray sky to conclude the afternoon heading into the evening. Downtown Monroe, not too bad though, and that's why temperatures still getting into the lower 80s once that cloud cover takes over, kind of put a cap on our warm up. We're 70 degrees right now in Charlotte. We're 65 around Salisbury, and we're 68 degrees up here in Hickory. 62, not too bad for you right around the Boone area. But we got to anticipate that cloud cover will get a little bit thicker as we continue throughout the day. And 80 feels like 82. 82 feels like 84. We got a little bit more of a heat index today. Yesterday still got hot. We got up to about 85 degrees. We'll call it very warm. And then we're going to be around that hot range before you know it. So I also want to show you our Futurecast dew points. One thing I always like to drive home here, anything that's 65 plus is going to be in that uncomfortable range. Once you get up to about 70, it's oppressive, the air you can wear, but we have a lot of that uncomfortable air that's going to be here on and off. So it's either a sticky to a super humid environment today, tonight, into tomorrow, and then watch Saturday. Watch this. You see that red completely take over. This is going to be primetime storm fuel, so that's why I think we have an elevated risk for a strong thunderstorm on Saturday as well. A lot can still change. We got to get through this guy first. Over the next 24 hours, what you're going to see is an uptick in the cloud cover. That's step one. Number two, there's the slightest chance for a little bit of rain. This Futurecast is too aggressive. You're not seeing widespread light rain. This might be picking up on maybe some sprinkles and some drizzle a little bit later on, I think, especially after the sun sets. But really have to focus in on the main corridor where we're going to see the heavier cells. And that's really through the central parts of North Carolina and then the far eastern side of South Carolina. So a line pretty much from around Florence, Marion, up to about Raleigh. That's where we'll see the heavier showers and storms. And eventually it starts to work its way into Richmond County. I'm focusing in on you because I think you have more rain than any of our counties, and our Futurecast rain totals agree with that. How much rain? Up to 2 inches is going to be a possibility where you see the rain the longest and where the heaviest totals are going to be. This has vastly changed from 24 hours ago. Even when I first got in this morning, around 2:30, we were still showing up to about a ½ inch of rain around the Charlotte area. That's now dropped down to 0.05 of an inch. And what that's indicating is this system is stretching a little bit further off towards the east and isn't really setting up directly over Charlotte as it was indicating. That's why you see the heavier rains and the yellows, the reds, the oranges hovering right around Albemarle to Wadesboro to Rockingham compared to right over Charlotte. Doesn't mean you're not going to see rain. I think a lot of us are almost waiting for the rain more than actually seeing it, especially the further west that you go of I-77. But you can see this system starting to bend back in, heading into your Thursday afternoon. By the middle to late afternoon hours, let's call it after 3 to 6, that's where we really start to clear things out. I think some dry air is going to kill off the rain, allowing for a drier end, dare I even say a sunnier end to your Thursday. Now, what's next? We actually have a chance for a blossoming shower or thunderstorms. We get used to the pattern that, hey, it's hot, it's humid, here comes the thunderstorm, especially when fronts are nearby. That's always going to elevate our chances. That's another change that we're seeing in the forecast. Now a better chance by the end of your Friday afternoon that we have scattered showers and thunderstorms into the evening, and those start to wind down after sunset. So really driven by the daytime heating. Our hour-by-hour forecast, as I mentioned, we're into the lower 80s going forward, and then beyond that, we will see an uptick in those temps. But coming up, I'm going to have a little bit more detail about what you can expect as far as our weekend storm chances. You just got to know, though, after Thursday, that's the coolest day. Cloudy most of the day with that rain cooled air. That's why we only have the upper 70s, but we're right back to 90 degrees on Saturday. I'm going to jump in here one more time. We still haven't hit 90 degrees yet this year. We haven't even got above 88. The last time we were at 88 was April 5th. The warmest we got in the month of May was 87. So regardless, we're going to have the warmest day that we've had in over a month here on Friday, and then we do it again on Saturday. And then you have to get used to more of the mid to the upper 80s being our temperature range since we are heading deeper into the month of June. We will cool back down to around 80 degrees next Tuesday. That's as another front starts to roll on in. So be safe, everybody, and enjoy. Stay cool, especially with that muggy air out there.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. 8:07 now. We're going to start with some updates this morning out of Catawba County, where the sheriff's office now confirming an arrest has been made in that mass shooting that happened over the weekend. It left one person dead. This morning, the suspect is set to face a judge. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live this morning with those latest developments. And Richard, reports say that this suspect, this is not his first time facing charges.
Yeah, good morning to you, Lisa. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. That suspect actually was in court right here in Catawba County just a couple of months ago, facing a number of charges, including a charge of attempted murder. The same charge he's now facing in connection with that shooting. Let's show you a picture of who we're talking about. Take a look at this man. This is the person that police arrested. He is 20-year-old Garen Nathaniel Killian of Lenore. He's now behind bars facing that charge of attempted murder. He was arrested in connection with that mass shooting that happened early Sunday morning around 12:45 a.m. At that house party on Walnut Acres Drive. That's in the Mountain View area, where approximately 100 people had gathered at that party. The sheriff's office says Killian actually shot into the crowd of people from outside of the party, actually on another property, and that started a barrage of gunfire. Some of those, they say, at the pool party also fired back, resulting in the death of 58-year-old Sean Patrick Hood and injuring 11 others. Victims ranged in age from 16 to 58, with some sustaining gunshot wounds. Others were injured while trying to flee that panicked scene. Authorities reported that over 80 shots were fired during the incident. Now, one person is behind bars as this investigation continues.
Our deputies did warn them about the size of the party and our perceptions that it was unsafe. That party, though, was on private property, and legally we did not have the authority at that time to shut it down. It appears to us that the shooting initiated from that elevated position in the neighbor's yard, and that persons that were attending the pool party were also armed, and there were shots fired by those people as well.
Yeah, so there could be other charges coming forth as a result of this, as the investigation into this shooting continues. Again, Killian is set for a first appearance today in court. We'll be there. We'll tell you what happens. Back to you.
All right, Richard, thanks so much for that. But one question for you. What about the homeowner in this case? Do we know if that homeowner is going to be facing any charges?
Well, also, you know, that's a good question, Lisa. The ALE, the Alcohol Law Enforcement Agency, is involved in this case, investigating whether or not people were there who were underage and if they were drinking under 21 years of age. And that's something that could lead to some charges. And also, they were charging people to get in. There are a number of things that could lead to charges against the homeowner or possibly those people who organized this party. So they say there could be more arrests to come.
Case is not over yet. All right, Richard Devane, thanks so much for that report.
8:10 right now, and new this morning right here on WCNC Plus. Mecklenburg County leaders responding after somebody released bugs into the room during last night's county commission meeting, causing them to be escorted out shortly after. Take a look.
You're in violation of NCGS 143-318.17 by disrupting the meeting. You're subject to being escorted out of the meeting chamber and charged with a misdemeanor if you don't cease talking. So I think if there are items being passed around with bugs or whatever we got going on, I'd like the officers to please check that out, please. All right, we're gonna wait until we can get order, maintain order. It's a shame that we do this in front of the young lady like that.
The commission was in the middle of marking Domestic Violence Awareness Month. They also voting on their budget last night. They say the county condemns any inappropriate or disruptive behavior during those meetings, and the abuse of public participation, which that's what this is called, is not going to be tolerated. This morning, CMPD investigating after a deadly crash overnight in South Charlotte. Police say a pedestrian was hit near the exit of 45 and South Boulevard. CMPD is still investigating what led to that crash. And take a look at this. Fire crews investigating this morning after this propane tank explosion in Lenoir. The fire chief tells us the tanks exploded behind a food truck and building on Norwood Street. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. The building suffered some damage. At this time, it's unclear what caused the explosion.
Right now, WCNC Charlotte now has access to more than 100 pages of documents into the ongoing Shanquella Robinson case. You may remember that Robinson died while vacationing with the group in Mexico. There have been some questions about who owned that property where she died, the security camera footage, the 911 audio recordings, and the medical examiner records. Her mother has an active lawsuit against the people Shanquella vacationed with and several agencies. However, no arrest has been made. Now, while those documents are heavily redacted, they do shed some light on this investigation. And you can see those new pages right now on the WCNC Charlotte mobile app.
8:12 right now on WCNC Plus, and this morning, this grieving mother still searching for peace after back in March, her 6-year-old was kidnapped, shot, and killed by her own father in Anson County. And now, for the very first time, a mother sharing that pain with WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard, and it's a story you'll only see right here on WCNC Charlotte.
March the 24th of 2025.
It's a date months behind on the calendar.
It's not fair.
But for Michelle Little, that date has never left. It loops quietly in her mind like a broken record. Michelle recaps the moments leading up to her daughter's death, a pain she can't escape. She says her and her boyfriend Michael Rufus had broken up, but he still lived with her to help co-parent their 6-year-old daughter, Mayanna Roach.
Was on one side of the house. He was on this side of the house. Literally pulled me out of my bed, had me on the floor. He covered my mouth with his hands and told me I better not yell or I better not scream with the gun to my head.
She says he then threatened her, took their daughter, and drove off in her car. As Michelle contacted police, she says she received several texts from Michael, including this picture of their daughter sleeping.
He told me I brought her into this world, I would take her out of this world.
Text messages also show Michelle asking him to bring her daughter home. His response, "For years I've been telling you I'm gonna off myself, and I'm taking everything with me if you move on." Rufus also often referred to himself in third person, saying, "He tried so hard to love you, he kept all his demons away. Now we are out to play."
As he said, if we can't have you, then no one can. So who is the we? Him and his demons.
Michelle says she only spoke with her daughter on the phone briefly.
I asked her, was she okay? She said yes. She said she was sleeping.
Deputies eventually spotted Michael's vehicle. After a high-speed chase, it eventually crashed here, near Little Creek Road.
He crashed. We heard my baby scream, and then the phone hung up. I knew then that he did something.
Officials later confirming 2 gunshots, a bullet for his daughter, another one for himself. Police reported Mayanna died at the scene. Rufus was reported dead after being taken to the hospital. Michelle says Mayanna loved taking pictures. loved being with her brothers, and loved hanging with her dad.
She felt safe with him.
But still, he ended it all. Now Michelle breaking her silence and sending a message, not just as a grieving mother, but as a voice for every victim of domestic violence. She says, get out now. It just may cost you something greater than your own life.
Ladies, we gotta pay attention. We gotta watch who we have kids with. Woman's intuition, pay attention to it. Don't never avoid it.
Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Last night, members of the Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners took a moment to recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Month, addressing the rise in violent incidents not only here in Charlotte, but across the country. District 2 Representative Vilma Leak says the violence has got to stop.
Every day you open the paper or you listen to the news, you may not want to hear it, but I'm going to say it. It's violence in this community, and we're killing each other, and the bloodline is being cut off. You may not want to hear it, but I'm going to say it. Stop killing each other.
People are encouraged to wear orange this month to honor victims and survivors of gun violence.
This morning, the FDA has upgraded a recent recall alert on tomatoes in North and South Carolina. It's now at Class 1. That means there is a concern for serious health consequences or even death. That recall was first issued in early May for tomatoes at risk for salmonella contamination. They were supplied by H&C Farms and distributed by Williams Farms Repack. Those tomatoes were sold to wholesalers in both North and South Carolina and in Georgia. If you bought tomatoes in bulk, officials say you should check where they came from and throw them out or return them if they aren't open. So far, the agency hasn't received any reports of any illnesses. In North Carolina, Governor Josh Stein is assembling a new cannabis task force to evaluate how the state should move forward with marijuana policy. In an interview with our content partners, WRAL, the governor says he wants to place stricter regulations on cannabis products, making it harder for the substance to get into the hands of kids. He's also considering some steps to erase some criminal records for minor marijuana offenses.
Well, good morning, everybody. I want to talk a little bit more about our rainfall potential going forward. Now, so for our excessive rain impacts, there are certain products that the National Weather Service and NOAA will put out. And this one right here, excessive rain impacts, means that, hey, there's a chance that you could have some minor flash flooding. Anything in the green is usually that nuisance flooding. Things can quickly pond up. You might step in a large puddle, but then also some of those smaller creeks could easily flood and overwhelm their banks. I think that could happen, especially the further east that you go. And then for your Thursday, this now transitions really for after 8 o'clock on Thursday. It's more of an eastern North Carolina and South Carolina event. The further west you go of I-77, there's really not that much rain that comes from this. So I want to show you a couple of the rain totals that are coming from here. A lot of them are agreeing on this type of scenario that we have up to about 2 inches around Rockingham over to Pinehurst, Fayetteville, seeing rain totals anywhere from about 1.5 inches to 3 inches there. Albemarle, you have a good shot, so parts of Stanley County up to about 1 inch of rain. Meanwhile, they exponentially decrease the further west that you go. So if you're watching around the I-85 corridor, a range up to maybe 1/10 of an inch is a possibility. I'm calling up to about 2/10 of an inch to factor in some of those heavier pockets of rain. But this is not a big rain event for the Charlotte area, at least according to that scenario. Other ones showing that, hey, maybe you pop up a little bit more, up to maybe 3/4 of an inch. This is the highest totals that I'm really seeing here. So I think the wettest scenario is that we have a couple of heavier downpours in the morning, yet again in the afternoon, and that's going to allow for scenario number 2. Regardless, it's going to be a cloudy day with on and off rain showers. Just depends on the rain intensity and where that's going to set up. Our rainfall chances after that, very likely for your Thursday, but Saturday and Tuesday, the kind of stand out from the rest going forward. So those are the days that I'm really keeping a close eye on, especially for that Saturday, because it's the weekend, so more people might be out and about doing things. So let's get right to our futurecast, and I want to show you a couple examples before I get to our next weather highlighter, which is this coming Saturday. For one, right now it's actually not that bad outside. I want to show you Monroe. Monroe right now is seeing a little bit of blue sky. Well, you're going to see a lot more of a mostly cloudy sky to end the morning, heading into the afternoon. By the end of the day, it's overcast, y'all. All of a sudden, hey, where'd my sunshine go? Maybe you don't want to go on that walk. I know how that is. Then we start to see some light rain showers, some sprinkles work their way through the evening. But notice how most of the rain is further off towards the east. It will bend back in, scatter rain for the morning, heading into the afternoon around the Charlotte area. By the late afternoon into the early evening, I think that rain is done. But I do want to mention that one more thing about this coming weekend. We don't really have a lot of clarity. We got to get past this system because that could really change how the atmospheric flow is going to be around here. But we do right now have a very low and severe weather chance already for most of South Carolina and the southern part of our viewing area. This is for Saturday, keeping an eye on that thunderstorm potential. So just want to kind of flag that for the time being and just say that stay weather aware, especially for the back end. Or if you have any Saturday plans, maybe a little bit earlier in the day, try to avoid those storms is the best method. Your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast all over the place. 77 because of a cloudy day on Thursday, back to 90 on Saturday, with most days having at least a chance for an isolated shower or thunderstorm. Majestic, it has not been a normal traffic morning, especially with big holes in roads.
Exactly. There's a lot going on this morning. It is 8:20. If you are getting ready to head out the door, let me give you a quick update on what's going on with those roads. All right, we're going to go ahead and zoom it on in because this has been a big part of our traffic story this morning. There's currently a sinkhole that has blocked West Moorhead Street. You can see the purple here. That's indicating that closure. But I did get a picture courtesy of NCDOT on Twitter, and we're seeing that sinkhole there. They did say that it looks much bigger in person than what it is on this picture here. But you're going to want to take a detour. A couple of them will be out towards Freedom Drive and Ashley Road. No exact time on when this is actually going to reopen Moorhead Street. They did mention perhaps tomorrow around 8 o'clock at night. We'll keep you up to date with that. Another one here you'll want to know about: a lot of red. Right lane blocked due to a crash on Wilkinson Boulevard, westbound lanes at Tuckasegee Road. So make sure you're mindful of that. We have a lot going on. I'm going to give you another traffic and weather update coming up in just a few minutes. Ben.
Majestic, thanks. A kiosk that you may have seen inside a grocery store is now making stealing phones too easy and very profitable.
Now take a look at this. They're called Eco ATMs. In fact, we have about 20 of them here in the Charlotte area. You simply drop a phone inside and get hundreds of dollars back. That's proven to be tempting for criminals. NBC's Ellison Barber got a closer look after her own phone was stolen.
That is the NYPD with me, trying to get my stolen phone out of an Eco ATM automated kiosk.
I'll help you price and sell your device.
The company says it has more than 6,500 of these machines across the country where people can sell and recycle old devices for cash, possibly earning hundreds of dollars on the spot.
The condition of your device will affect the price.
But let's rewind. For me, this ordeal started on the subway on May 7th.
Personal phone was sitting, I guess, kind of where somebody could easily grab it, and somebody did.
Using my work phone, I texted my partner to check Find My Phone and lock it. I could see it went from a subway stop near the office to 29th Street, and it seemed like it wasn't moving. So the next day, we followed it and wound up at a check cashing store.
Find My iPhone pings to this machine, where I guess they sold it for cash and somehow didn't have to prove they actually owned the phone they were selling because it was accepted and it's been in here since yesterday.
The kiosks are supposed to offer a home for unwanted cell phones, but in my case, it was a stolen phone and one I very much wanted back.
So now we had to call the police to have an NYPD officer out working right now come here so I can file a stolen phone report with him.
The company says to get money for a phone, the seller has to appear on camera, scan their state-issued ID, and submit a fingerprint, which in the event of a theft is information that's shared with police. And Eco ATM says 99.8% of sales are from a phone's rightful owner. But in the case of a stolen phone like mine, the company has to give police access to the machine, which thankfully for me, since my phone was still in there, led to a sweet reunion.
Ellison Barber reporting for us there. You know, if a person has to show their face and give an ID, you would think it'd be easier to track them down. But
it would.
I'm not sure what's been the case with Ellison's case, but
And again, it's great when it works the right way, but when
Yeah.
you're in that 0.2%, it's just your phone.
That's all that matters.
That's problematic.
That's right. That's right. 8:24 right now on WCNC Plus. Turning now to some technology being used for good. A new company moving forward with creating electric silent planes that don't need gas to stay in the air. Take a look at this thing. Beta just completed its first flight to JFK Airport in New York with passengers on board. It says no jet fuel means the plane is less flammable. No noise means better communication for the pilot. As far as safety, the FAA has created some new requirements for pilots that can be certified to operate these things. Officials predict hopping on one of these planes will one day be a common form of transportation.
It will be as ubiquitous as taxi cabs. This will turn into an air taxi service, which will be critical.
Flyers could see these electric planes as early as 2027, and the price tag to fly will likely be high.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break right now, but make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another check on weather and traffic in just 2 minutes, and you'll also see the day's headlines coming back at 8:30.
Not a big difference from yesterday. Temperature-wise, we had 85 yesterday, 83 for today. But what the big change is how we feel. It's feeling a lot more humid to start off this morning, and it'll still be sticky heading into the afternoon. But we are also anticipating more clouds, so you can expect that cloud cover to slowly increase as we work our way through the day. By tomorrow morning, we have an overcast sky and widespread rain, especially the further east that you go. That'll keep scattered rain chances around for the greater Charlotte area for the bulk of the morning heading into the early afternoon. This eventually is going to be out of here by your late day Thursday, even allowing for a little bit of sunshine, especially around the I-77 corridor and areas off towards the west. Then beyond that, you are looking at a big time warm up, certainly feeling like June, back to around 90 degrees on Friday and Saturday. Chance for an isolated storm on Friday, much better chance for even some stronger thunderstorms to end the day on Saturday. Majestic, what's going on traffic wise?
It is busy out there, 8:27 right now. Let's take a look at our drive times and our traffic maps. I want to break down a few things for you. Seeing some pretty dense fog west of Gastonia, reducing down visibility, so make sure you're ready for that. In addition to this, West Moorhead Street has been blocked because of a sinkhole this morning. There's an actual picture of it, courtesy of NCDOT. Moorhead Street Bridge over Stewart Creek is closed. This is just west of Freedom Drive. Another route that you may want to take would be Freedom Drive or Ashley Road. No exact time on when it's going to be opened up again, but stay close to us. We will be giving you the latest updates throughout the rest of the day.
for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. A lot to get to this morning, but we want to start off with new information we're getting in the Shanquella Robinson case. After WCNC Charlotte obtained more than 100 pages of documents from the FBI, those documents, heavily redacted, but help shed some light in the ongoing investigation.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards has been combing through those pages overnight. She joins us live in the studio this morning to break down what we've learned so far. Destiny.
That's right. We're now getting a clearer picture of what investigators were asking for and what steps they took in the investigation in late 2022 and early 2023. Robinson was just 25 when she died in Cabo San Lucas in October 2022. Her friends, now known as the Cabo Six, told her family it was alcohol poisoning, but a Mexican autopsy pointed to spinal and neck trauma. Newly released documents show the FBI contacted a Mexican prosecutor in early 2023 with 11 questions, including who owned the villa and whether there was surveillance video, 911 audio, or medical records. That email was sent around the time Mexican officials announced they were searching for a suspect. The documents confirm an arrest warrant was issued, but the name wasn't revealed. The FBI also interviewed someone shortly after her death who said the group had been drinking heavily and put Robinson in the shower to sober her up. One friend was reportedly so distraught they couldn't eat or sleep. Agents also searched a phone from the trip, but say there was no evidence related to her death. Lisa.
So, Destiny, where does the case stand now?
Yeah, well, 4 of the friends filed motions to dismiss, saying the case belongs in Mexico. Robinson's mother is also suing the Cabo Six, the FBI, and the State Department, seeking $100 million in damages. There are no charges still in this case in the U.S., but the release of this information shows the investigation is far from closed. I also want to mention that most of this is just revealing the process of the investigation. Nothing yet that indicates any effects in the litigation so far, but we'll continue to track any updates. And the latest information is on the WCNC Charlotte News app.
All right, Destiny, thanks so much for that report. Well, this morning we are learning that the no confidence vote against Charlotte Police Chief Johnny Jennings has failed. The Fraternal Order of Police says after 9 days it did not receive enough votes to issue an outcome. Now, it is important to note, even if that vote did succeed, the outcome would have been largely symbolic. That vote was called after reports of a secret settlement between the city and the chief tied to a dispute involving former council member Tark Bakari. The chief later revealed the details of the $305,000 deal, calling it a separation agreement and announcing his plans to retire early next year.
8:33 right now on WCNC Plus. Humidity. You're going to notice it when you step out the door this morning, Chris.
Ooh, yeah, and it looks like this is the norm. We have now flipped the switch over to summer that comes with hot days into the 90s, that humid air pretty much each and every day, and oh yeah, a chance for a pop-up shower and thunderstorm. The good news about today is we don't really have that thunderstorm potential, but it will be a lot cloudier than what we're looking at right now. So you're mentioning a cloudy sky. You might be saying, Chris, you're crazy. What you talking about? Well, the reason why is this system down towards the south, the one that we're potentially calling a tropical depression, likely not happening, but a tropical disturbance, is going to work its way into our area. That's going to allow for some thicker clouds. So I think that sunshine is going to turn into a mostly cloudy sky and then eventually overcast, completely gray skies as that sun is setting later on today. And then we will also have a chance for a few passing showers as we work our way into the evening hours as well. So the normal high is 84. We have 83 today. I think we're sunny long enough that it's not really a big deal and we don't really miss out on the 80-degree point or where we should be. But these are all the words that Ben's talking about. It feels very humid this morning, especially compared to where we have been. It'll be sticky today, humid on Thursday, and downright muggy on Saturday. Saturday right now, looking at the numbers, I look back to what we had for some of our more humid days, which actually we had more humid days in April than we did in May. This actually could be the muggiest day of the year so far on Saturday, so keep that in mind. You're going to be feeling it. And that's kind of a surprise because you have literally a tropical system bringing tropical air tomorrow. But I think the more humid environment is just east of us, so we don't really feel that around Charlotte. It's still going to be humid. Don't get me wrong, you just don't have that ugh feel to the atmosphere. We will start to see a return as far as that tropical moisture goes for your Saturday, but then actually feels a little bit better on Monday. But yeah, pretty much each and every day we're going to be feeling it. Here's satellite and radar. I have to show you where this system's developing from. It officially is a low pressure system. A lot of things fighting against this. There's the drier air, there's wind shear trying to prevent this from being an organized closed low system that potentially could, if it got strong enough for the sustained winds up to 39 miles per hour, turning into a subtropical storm. I think there's a lot of factors working its way against it, so likely I think it's just going to be a typical tropical low that pushes into the area. You can already see that thick cloud cover. That's about to approach Columbia. Columbia, I guarantee right now, is starting to see a lot cloudier skies, and then that's going to be the norm for us. So the further north that you live, the more sunshine you're going to have through the day. The further south that you live, in the inverse, it's going to turn overcast pretty quickly on you. So if you watch from Chester, Lancaster, or Chesterfield County, you can expect an overcast sky really by mid to late morning. Monroe, again, beautiful blue skies. Again, we're taking away that cloud cover. And then let's move to midnight. Midnight, at that point, I think we have some scattered showers, maybe a little bit of drizzle, and then here we go. This is where I think we have the main event. The heaviest rain, for sure. One agreement that we're seeing across all models will be right here, really between Wadesboro and let's call it I-95. That's where we have the sweet spot. That all that rain that you saw off the Florida coast that I just showed you, that's what's going to be the heaviest rainmaker across the Carolinas, and that should be here by the early morning hours to about the middle of the morning. Then the top of this, since it is a low pressure system, it will rotate in a counterclockwise fashion. That's going to drag in more rain for our northern zones, but you see most of the showers are east of I-77. Further west you go, a lot less rain is expected, and the rain totals really drop off from the center of that circulation. So how much rain are you going to see? Well, I think it depends. If you're watching from Richmond County, Rockingham, I think for sure you're seeing over an inch, about 1 to 2 inches of rain is going to be a possibility. This is the more aggressive model showing that upwards to about a ½ inch of rain possible in Charlotte. That's just indicating if you have any cells that might be a little bit heavier rain. So this version of that, and the reason why I'm showing you this is if we get more moisture into the system, it trends a little bit further west. This would allow for some more scattered, heavier rain showers to begin the morning. But regardless, each of these agree on one thing. By about 3 o'clock, we're starting to clear things further off towards the east. By about 7 o'clock, we pretty much get the all clear for the most part. Only exception might be Wadesboro and Rockingham. They're seeing some of those higher totals. You might even see some sunshine before the sun sets for Thursday, but cloudy most of the day. That scenario shows much higher rain totals. The ones that are looking like a little bit more on the mild side, keeping rain further off towards the east, barely has anything around Charlotte. So plain and simple, not to over confuse you, showing two different models. It's going to rain on and off through tomorrow morning, heading into the afternoon, just letting you know that it's this area around Richmond to Wadesboro to Anson County up to Stanley County that are going to see rain longer, and it should be a lot heavier as well. Our rainfall chances after that really start to wind down on Friday, but each and every day has a chance for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. How many times during the summertime do you see a 20% on our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast? That's because it's hot, it's humid, and then sometimes under the right conditions, those cumulus clouds can grow in the vertical and turn into thunderstorms. But when there's a front involved, usually our isolated turns to a scattered potential, and that's exactly what we have on Saturday and on Tuesday. So Saturday is one that I'm watching in a little bit more detail. So to get there, we have the lower 80s today. By the time you get through tomorrow, I think you're only going to have highs in the upper 70s, but then Friday, we're back to near 90 degrees. We haven't surpassed that mark yet. We've been at 88, we've been at 87 3-4 times, but we still have not hit 89 or 90. So even if we don't hit 90 degrees, these will be the hottest days that we've had so far in 2025. And the best chance for storms on Saturday, I'm going to take a deeper dive into that. We're also going to have some hurricane trivia since our Hurricane IQ special is airing tonight. So I'll see you in a few minutes. But first, we have to see what's going on for our roads with majestic storms. It's been an interesting traffic morning.
It has. Good morning, everyone. It is 8:39 right now. If you're heading out the door, let's get started. straight to it. Want to show you a live look outside I-77 near Uptown. We've been talking about this all morning long, and this may impact your morning commute. So take a look at your TV screen. We have been following this sinkhole on West Moorhead Street, and this is a picture of it courtesy of NCDOT on Twitter. Now, they say the hole looks much bigger in person, but sometimes these things can rapidly grow, so they have just shut down that street there. Moorhead Street, it's a bridge over Stewart Creek, and it's going to stay closed throughout the day today. They said maybe it could open as soon as tomorrow around 8 p.m., but we'll keep you up to date with that. If you typically drive this way, think about maybe taking a Freedom Drive or even Ashley Road. Another ongoing accident that has actually just been cleared was right here. It was on Lancaster Highway, so that's some good news for us. Not seeing that any longer. And again, just some backups if you take Highway 521. As we're getting a little closer to the Uptown area, there's a crash on 9th Street and Graham Street. But besides that, really the biggest story right now is still that sinkhole. Besides that, Ben and Lisa, I'm not seeing anything too significant for the morning commute.
Majestic, thanks. Turning now to some national stories. Neighbors in Boulder, Colorado are still reeling from the violent attack on peaceful gathering on Sunday. The community came together late yesterday to hold a prayer vigil in the aftermath. The participants met outside the Pearl Street Mall courthouse where the attack took place. 12 people were hurt, ranges in ages from 52 to 88, one of them being a Holocaust survivor. It comes as that suspect awaits a hearing later this week on multiple charges, including first-degree murder and a federal hate crime charge. His family has since been detained by ICE agents.
The U.S. Department of Education is putting a pause on those plans to take money from Social Security checks for people who haven't paid back their student loans. According to a spokesperson for the agency, the recipients don't need to worry about losing part of their benefits because of defaulted student loans. Now, this is a sudden change from the Trump administration's earlier announcement back in April, when it stated that collections on student loans would start up as early as this month. All right, take a look at this. Drivers passing under the Hawthorne Bridge in Charlotte yesterday may have seen a few more people there than usual as a group stood on the bridge to protest the Trump administration. They held signs in support of diversity, free speech, and immigration. Now, those protesters aren't the only ones pushing back against the president. This morning, we're learning that Elon Musk is now slamming President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill.
As senators begin digging into the details, NBC's Chris Pallone is breaking down the different reactions this morning.
As tariffs on aluminum and steel double for most U.S. trade partners overnight, dissent is bubbling up among some of President Trump's allies over his signature spending bill. Billionaire Elon Musk, who spent months trying to slash government spending as a temporary government employee, blasted the president's self-proclaimed big, beautiful bill as a disgusting abomination. Writing on X, Musk complained the president's plan will massively increase the gigantic budget deficit. Some GOP budget hardliners agree.
I can't in good conscience give up every principle that I stand for and every principle that I was elected upon, and that's that we can't accumulate more debt.
Independent analysts project, as written, the bill could add several $1 trillion to the deficit. It extends tax cuts, boosts spending on defense and border security, and includes cuts to Medicaid and food aid programs. The White House is brushing off Musk's criticism.
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
It comes as the president's latest tariffs on steel and aluminum took effect overnight, doubling from 25% to 50%. With China as a top competitor in the industry, the White House says President Trump could speak with President Xi in the coming days.
There will be a leader-to-leader talk very soon.
President Trump escalating his trade war, risking increased costs for Americans to potentially shore up the nation's steel industry. Republican members of the Senate Finance Committee will huddle with the president at the White House later today to figure out how to tweak his spending and tax cut bill so that it can pass both houses of Congress. In Washington, Chris Pallone, NBC News.
The time is now 8:43. It is time for us to connect the dots. That's when we make the news make sense. The summer humidity is here in the Carolinas, and it is no joke. You heard Chris talk about it earlier. And what we feel, going to feel some of it this week. In fact, some of it today. Reports are now showing, though, that it's probably only going to get worse.
Climate change is already reshaping life in North Carolina, and scientists say the impacts will only get worse. Let's connect the dots. A statewide report finds North Carolina is getting hotter, wetter, and more humid. By the end of the century, the state could warm up to 10 degrees if emissions don't slow. That means more dangerously hot nights, higher humidity, and more health risks, especially in cities. Rainfall patterns are also shifting, and there's no clear trend in total rain, but extreme storms are getting worse. Hurricanes are producing heavier rainfall, and coastal flooding is expected to become a daily issue in low-lying areas. Droughts and wildfires are also projected to hit harder in the years ahead, threatening water supplies, crops, and communities. Scientists say no part of the state will be spared, but there is still time to prepare, and that's connecting the dots.
Chris joins us once again now.
Well, in preparation for the hurricane special that we have tonight at 8 o'clock, I have some tropical trivia for you.
Oh, great. Okay, let's do it.
Since you guys listen to all my forecasts and have done this long enough, I think that you might know the answers to a lot of these, actually.
Right.
The Atlantic hurricane season is June 1st to November 30th. When is the peak date of hurricane season? Is it August 31st, September 4th, 10th, or the 16th?
D, September 10th.
Oh, that's C.
C.
Oh, sorry, C, September 10th.
That's actually what I was going to say, too.
And you are correct. Good job. September 10th. Now, an interesting fact is 87% of all the hurricanes that form from August 1st to November 30th. So it's usually the back end. So it's very rare for this time of year.
Okay.
Let's move on to number 2. Ocean waters need to be at least this temperature for tropical cyclones to form. Is it 75, 76, 78, or 80 degrees?
B, 76.
I'll go with A, 75.
Ooh, it's actually 80 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, so 80 degrees. Now they can still survive at that point. Hi, Rusty. How you doing?
Hey, Rusty.
That's our director. I love Rusty. He's
Rusty
the best.
committed, though. He kept on going.
Rusty, you can be our Vanna White if you want.
That's right.
I got 80 degrees right.
He got 80. Okay, see, he just wanted to represent. He's like, he got it right. All right, one more. So hurricanes were first named in 1950. What was the first name? Alpha, Abel, Alice, or Anson?
Oh,
Alice.
Let's go with Alice, yeah.
So this is a trick question. Alice was the first real name, but actually the first hurricane was
Alpha.
Hurricane Abel. And the reason why is because it goes Abel, Baker, Charlie was what they used for the military names. I actually just learned this
Abel,
today.
really?
Abel, yeah, I wouldn't have got that either.
Definitely wouldn't have guessed that.
Well, we're going to have a lot more trivia and a lot more to learn tonight at 8 o'clock. You can actually see that on WCNC and also WCNC Plus. All of your full forecasts also coming up here shortly.
That was fun. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, well, right now, some people in Kansas and Missouri, they're having to deal with severe flooding, and after heavy rain moved through the area. Take a look at this. Now, this is in Kansas, where the firefighters had to conduct some urgent water rescues as the cars were submerged by those flood waters. Now, take a closer look. The rescues come amid some tornado warnings in Missouri and ongoing severe weather threats in several states overnight. 2 to 3 inches of rain have already fallen, and additional rainfall of about 1.5 to 2.5 inches still possible. The Wichita Fire Department urgently reminding people to turn around, don't drown.
There's wanting more help on the way for people who lost just about everything in hurricanes or tornadoes when they swept through St. Louis just a few weeks ago. The mayor announced $5 million in recovery funding, and millions more in federal funding has been earmarked in Congress. The city also passed a bill giving 1 month's rent to people whose homes were condemned. But victims say they're not sure that's going to be enough to help build back homes and businesses that were lost. For now, many say they're having to pay out of pocket for those repairs. And a longtime North St. Louis dentist is calling it quits after the tornado destroyed his practice. However, his family is committed to helping those who helped him keep the doors open for nearly 5 decades. Holden Kerwicki has more.
For the past 47 years, the Abramson Dental Office has been a staple along Natural Bridge in North St. Louis.
He made me dentist and stuff, and didn't charge me for them.
It's like a second home.
Over the years, Dr. Abramson became friends with Thomas Caruth, a neighborhood handyman who lives 2 doors away.
You know, I did a lot of work down in the basement. I put up shelves, I did roofing, I did some of everything for him.
He's definitely been such a great person and helped out my grandpa, and I think that he deserves the world because, I mean, not gonna lie, my grandpa's a lot to put up with.
When an EF3 tornado struck St. Louis May 16th, it sent Dr. Abramson into an early retirement.
I'm a miss him.
However, the Abramson family was more worried about Thomas.
My room, bedroom set. This is where me and my wife slept at right here.
In an effort to help the man who has helped them countless times,
He's done so much for my grandpa and for our family, so he deserves the world.
Dr. Abramson's grandkids, Raquel and Leo, started a GoFundMe.
He got really affected by the tornado, and it's like devastating because he doesn't have much family left.
To date, they've raised close to $10,000 for Thomas.
He's given to the community, he should get it back.
That's why Thomas has this message for the entire Abramson family.
And they wonderful, the whole family. I just love them. I love them just like they my brothers and sisters, and he's my father.
Reporting in St. Louis, Holden Kerwicki.
All right, Chris joins us once again with a look at your forecast. Chris.
And just so coincidence has it, we have a hurricane special tonight, and we actually have our first tropical disturbance that we're watching. No big investigation with this one, just has a very small window that is trying to become something. But the National Hurricane Center only has a 10% potential for this to do anything. There's a lot of things working against it. We're going to learn a lot more about this on Hurricane IQ. But whenever you have dry air, especially Saharan dust, this is not an unusual phenomenon, by the way. This happens each and every year, especially around June and July. That usually hinders any tropical development. We got a lot of it, and that's working its way into the system, so that's going to break it up. Also, wind shear very high right along the Carolina coast. One thing I haven't mentioned all morning long, if you are going to the beach this weekend, I think this thing is going to clear out just in time, but the rip currents danger is definitely going to be higher for your Saturday, so I think you're going to see a lot of red flags at the beach. Let's talk a little bit about tropical versus subtropical to raise your weather IQ. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is if conditions were a little bit more favorable, I think we would have a solid shot at this turning into a subtropical storm. So that'd be subtropical storm Andrea, and it was actually back in the early 2000s that we started naming subtropical storms. So what this means is for there to technically be at least a tropical depression or tropical storm, wind speeds will judge if it's depression, storm, or hurricane, but it needs to have a closed low of circulation and often a warm core. So that means that pretty much from the bottom of it to the top, it's all warm air, and that's what makes it a tropical storm. And the winds are centralized right in the center. But for a subtropical storm to happen, the winds are actually away from the center, the strongest wind. So this is a little oblong in shape, so it kind of weeble wobbles around, and that doesn't allow it to get as strong. So a subtropical storm will rarely ever turn into a hurricane. And this is usually fueled by upper level dynamics. And all that means is, like, say, a front's attached to it and some warmer waters compared to just the warmer water that fuels a tropical storm. So likely this is not going to become anything that's named, at least here in the Carolinas. But I do want to mention something. If this moves back out in the Atlantic, and this as in this low pressure system, it will have a more favorable environment. So I'm not completely discounting that we're not going to have our first tropical depression of the year. Just letting you know that it's not going to happen before it reaches the Carolinas. After it moves out, we still keep the moisture around. 70 degrees for a dew point is super high. That is a muggy environment, that air you can wear. So I want everyone to note that that mugginess is here to stay, and it's pretty much not changing. Going forward, here is our next chance for rain. It's all associated with the system. I think we have widespread rain from Albemarle over to Rockingham and Southern Pines, and then we start to see that rain start to bend back into the area into the Thursday afternoon time frame. By the end of the day, this is going to be out of here. As far as our severe weather risks going forward, I don't think tomorrow's a severe weather risk. The next one that I'm really seeing is day 4 of the forecast. That's Saturday late day. We could have a strong thunderstorm that starts to work its way in the area. There's a lot of dynamics that could really hinder this from forming, but just letting you know that will be a chance to end the day with stronger thunderstorms. That's why there's a 40% chance for rain on Saturday compared to your Friday and your Sunday. Saturday is also the warmest day, one of the more humid days, so we have prime storm fuel in that setup. After that, the upper 80s on Monday, and another cold front will up our rain chances to bring our temperatures back down to 80 degrees on the backside of that Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. So that's your weather report. It's been an up and down morning for traffic. Let's get the most recent update with Majestic.
All right, good morning, everyone. Let's start with this. A live look, I-77. You can see there is a backup that is ongoing here, and I want to let you know exactly what I'm looking at now. Well, as we switch it on over to our live traffic maps, I want to take you up to Huntersville. Around exit 23, there is a vehicle fire, and it's slowing down your morning commute. Again, I-77 southbound. So if you have to drive that way, you're going to want to allow for a little extra drive time because traffic is still moving. It's just moving a little slower than than it typically does this time of the day. Also, we've been tracking this and following this all morning long. A sinkhole has been reported on West Moorhead Street. If you typically drive that way, here's a picture of it, courtesy of NCDOT. Got that from them today. They said that really the hole is bigger than the picture looks, but they are being safe and they have closed down Moorhead Street Bridge over the Stewart Creek. No expected time for sure when it's going to reopen, perhaps as soon as tomorrow around 8 p.m. We'll keep you up to date, and you may want to just take Freedom Drive or Ashley Road. Another thing that we've been watching carefully was that accident that was actually just cleared, so that's some good news for you. We'll talk about this one quickly, though. It's on 9th Street and Graham Street. You can see those slowdowns are starting to build.
All right, check this out. An Australian woman just set a new world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours.
You ready for this number? Olivia Vincent completed 7,079 pull-ups in a day, which means she averaged about 5 pull-ups every single minute. The previous record was set by a Polish woman back in 2021. She only did about 4,000 pull-ups. Get
only.
This. Exactly, only. Vincent trained for 3 months before her first attempt at the record. She got about 12 hours in and pulled a bicep tendon. Then forced to take a couple months off, then decided to start again. She says it's all about pushing boundaries and not giving up, even if you do not succeed the first time.
Can you imagine what her biceps are like?
Not. If we say 5 are hard to do.
5 is more than enough.
7,000.
All right, well, it is 8:55 right now. We're going to take a quick break, but make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another update on weather and traffic over on the broadcast side. Also, a reminder for you tonight. This is really important. Don't forget, our weather impact team is going to be hosting a hurricane special. Chris mentioned it. They're going to be walking through the hurricane predictions for this year, taking a look back at the devastation from Hurricane Helene. They're also going to explain the science behind hurricanes so that you can be better prepared this hurricane season. Again, this is our Hurricane IQ Weather Impact Special. You can watch it or air or streaming right here on WCNC Plus. It's tonight at 8.
Well, good morning, everyone. The normal high is 84. We have 83 going forward. And the big thing about today is they actually have some sunshine right now, but I think that is going to change going forward. We're going to see an increased cloud cover, especially by the middle of the afternoon to end the day. Slight chance for some scattered rain later on this evening, but it's really tomorrow morning with the heaviest rain further off towards the east. This will continue to spiral through the morning into the afternoon. By about 3 to 5 o'clock, we're pretty much clearing out across the board. Our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast shows a chance for sunshine to end the day, but tomorrow will be the coolest day, back to 90 with storm chances come Saturday. Majestic, what's going on?
All right, I-77, let's take a live look of what's going on. A vehicle fire has been reported, and you can see that back up there. It's right at exit 23. Again, southbound lanes being impacted by that. Want to show you exactly where it is on my map out towards the Huntersville area. So if you typically take I-77 southbound, you'll want to allow a little extra drive time because it is moving slow. Still watching the sinkhole that has been reported. It has shut down West Moorhead Street between Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard. Stay close.